So there is a saying out here, God always comes late, and Pankaj definitely came late. Second, Fatima, the way you made us orchestrate the movements, I think each one of us remember our wedding days when we were asked to kind of move like this with the bride and groom, but that was what, are we 40 years back? Yeah, the age sometimes never gets revealed. It's those moments that gets captured. I want to set up the context. Honestly, I want to just put a disclaimer for this session. None of us have prepared for this session. My only ask was a time from these folks that look, can we at least plan a session which, first of all, has never been attempted? And I'll tell you why this session is important for the ones who've been into analytics, for the ones who are still straddling to sustain and survive in analytics or AI, and the ones who would like to be as a part of analytics or AI. This session is actually all-inclusive. Simple premise. The gentlemen on the left, three of them, have carried the flag of analytics when this industry was never even talked about, was never even mentioned. Who all from this room have worked in JECIS or GenPAC? Can I see the hands up, please? A lot of hands going up. The pioneers in starting analytics, the pioneers in really terms of saying, look, there is something called data to insights which really works, to a stage where many shops subsequently opened up. GCCs, enterprises, provider firms. But what remains, how this industry got shaped up, is something what folks have not even heard. Now that's a different thing, same kind of a session. In technology, when you call some of these wizards or the OGs of technology, first of all, the media is there, then everyone claps, everyone whistles. Unfortunately, we have a story in analytics that a lot of the leaders are always unsung. Sad part, because I keep on saying with no comms in analytics AI, we have stopped enjoying life. Too much of mulling over sometimes does not lead us to the path what we are envisaged. But let me come to the main aspect. Three of these gentlemen, I have a pleasure and privilege of knowing them from almost about 15, 20 years. Few traits, few, I would say, constituents of what makes you a great leader. And let's for a minute also take out analytics AI as a profession. One of the greatest traits, and I want to paraphrase some of these things in terms of the learning I had, and I don't want to say which one told me what and what observations I had from each of these three. Let me paraphrase, and maybe three of you can guess when I paraphrase who said this to me. First, surround yourself in life with the friends whose eyes lit up when they see you in the room. I'll repeat again. Surround yourself with the friends whose eyes lit up when they see you in the room. Second, being slow is the fastest way to grow in life, because life is a marathon, not a sprint. I'll repeat again. Being slow is the fastest way to grow in life, because life is a marathon, not a sprint. Third, very, very different. The top of a mountain is the bottom of the next. So keep climbing. These are the three gentlemen who embodies these three qualities absolutely to the core. And one of the things which is unique, I keep on saying unique because that's a quality I find in very minuscule proportion of the leaders. And I say again with open, or rather no filters out here, I meet leaders very often, unassuming, absolutely grounded, and they've got a very sensible head on their shoulder. With that, let me start this session. Again, as I say, there is no flow. The conversations are meant to be absolutely open, candid, and we will also have a Q&A round towards the end, because this is the last session. We open up for the awards, which I think you should look at the kind of awards we have, 5 categories, and also it ends up with the high tea. For the ones who are asking why there is no tea, there is a high tea actually. Guys, don't look at me like this, first of all.
I'm not able to sit after hearing so much about us,
Yes.
so I'm almost floating.
So, I'm not building any context about what they've done in the past. Let me start with the straight one question. If given a choice to reinvent yourself 25 years back, 2000, November or rather October 31st, 2000, you're sitting facing the crowd out here and you want to reinvent yourself at that point of time, what would be your reinvention mantra or a code? And I want short, crisp answers, please.
So, 25 years back, maybe I started with GCC, but I always wanted to be in the business. So if I wanted to reinvent, I wanted to sit in the business and run it. Do analytics in the business, not in a GCC.
RB, during the day you were part of one of the conversation you mentioned, if not in analytics, you would have owned jewelry business. Is this something got to do with the recent gold and silver prices? Or you regret now that you should have?
Honestly, I think I still love it. That's my passion. If I get a chance, I want to go back and sit there in the business. My brother, who runs the jewelry store, feels that he can't afford me now, but I would actually go back.
Okay. Jit, you are the only one amongst 3 who took a punt, or rather a very audacious approach of saying, look, I want to be on my own. And this is after you spent time with Jekis, HP. What was that trigger point? Did you had some fight out with your spouse, or it was purely like, okay, I want to do it on my own?
I think it's probably immaturity and stupidity at that point of time without knowing what else is there. But on a serious note, I think I worked with GE, which is a very diversified business, and HP, which is also at that point was very diversified a business. We could see a lot of applications in those businesses of analytics. It was not yet AI. And we thought if 2 of these companies and few others were obviously doing Amex and others, if they are doing so much, probably a lot more companies will be doing analytics over time. So can we then try to come out of this big banners and try to build something on our own, having done this for already a decade plus? So that was really the thinking process. We tried doing multiple business plans, all failed. But finally one day we thought, we should start it off. So there's so much of unknown we never heard of the term AI at that point of time. It was more insights, as Samir was out, but very fortunate to see this industry build up. I think, again, so that was it. Again, it was not so planned, not so thought. We couldn't foresee what's coming up, but very lucky to have taken the plunge.
Did your family supported you at that point of time, 2011 we are talking?
No, it's interesting. Actually, so both me and my wife were working, and I had been talking about doing something for a long, long time. And one evening, I remember, I was again telling her, I should do this, there's a great opportunity. She said, you have been talking about this for now years. I don't think you will ever be able to do it. Believe me or not, the next day I actually went in and put in my papers because I knew someone has actually now taken this seriously.
As they always say, the worst and the best things happens in life when you are provoked by your spouse. So this was a good thing in a way. Pankaj, coming to you. Sorry.
So if I can add to what he said, actually, his wife also used to work with us. And when they started off, me and Jit were working on a project, and she came and gave us something. And these were very straight out of the campus. And so I told Jit that, hey man, she left the room, and I told Jit that you should get married to her. She is wonderful, she is very good analytics, so you should get married. And that was the end of the conversation. 15 days down the line, he comes to me and gives an invitation card. And I checked the invitation card, and it had that name. So I said, boss, I told you just like that, and you're so fast. And he knew what would happen if he selected her. So that's why.
Anyway, I want to add to it. Again, it's not that it happened in office. Me and my then would-be wife, we were actually studying together. Then we landed up in the same job. So people in office didn't know, including Rajendar. So that was a surprise. By the way, not a lot of people know Rajendar was my first manager for the first 6 months that I had worked on. So I had a lot of learning.
You didn't notice that RB wanted to take the credit of your wedding.
Absolutely.
And let me
A
also
lot
tell
of the
you guys,
tricks I've learned from him.
and some of these secrets will tumble out today. Each one of them are qualified matchmakers. The sum total of proposals they have validated in Genpact and JECIS, and I've been witness to that in terms of any girl or a guy approaching and asking about a certain person and the validation that they're giving. If you got to check after 25 years, how many of those marriages are alive today?
All of
But the fact, so let's come to Pankaj, and I keep giving this analogy about Pankaj. He's of course everyone knows a human LinkedIn, and in India, post office is considered to be a very proliferated address locator, because if you don't put the address, the letter won't reach out. Only 2 people are exempted by the post office in India when anyone needs to write a letter. President of India and Pankaj Rai. They don't need to mention the address, the letter will reach on its own. That's the beauty of Pankaj. But Pankaj, again, now this is where I would say a serious question. Knowing people is an art. Remembering them, what their DNA, their secret sauce, and also their traits is like art personified. How exactly do you remember and continue to maintain this streak of knowing people and expanding the network?
So again, on a serious note, when you are observing a data set, you can make some inferences and make conclusions. But, you can't observe yourself. So it's very hard for me to always answer some of these questions because I'm not observing myself, I'm observing other people and making inferences. So I think other people like the ones sitting next to me can probably
maybe
comment
I
on
can
this.
tweak for RB and Jit. Okay, in Pankaj's entire set of memory, how many GPU, how many kind of let's say, database have gone to make this happen? That's astonishing. Anyone in this audience who can vouch how he remembers all these things? Any thoughts? Sorry? He takes a lot of interest. That's wonderful. Any? Sorry? Lots of pictures. A lot of pictures, yeah. Pankaj is a star on Instagram as well.
That's how computer vision and modeling started, because Pankaj did it, it was internalized in his mind how to do it.
I learned from Rajesh. Rajesh is out here in the audience, and he told me a very unique thing about Pankaj, which I resonate, because Pankaj and me talk almost every week on multiple things. Some of them cannot be quoted out here. But one of the things which struck me when Rajesh said, the ability for any person to take a genuine interest, with this person said, and also to see inside out is unparalleled. Because a lot of people engage in conversations, but they don't have an inside out perspective of that person, which sometimes is very, very, transient or short term. I think this gentleman not only remembers you, takes an interest, but he knows exactly at any given point of time, if he has to pluck that relational database of his mind and put that where exactly that person needs to fit, he's got those answers laid. But Pankaj, tell me one thing. One of the things, and now we are switching to something what I call the career aspect. One of the things I've always noticed, despite this culture around hybrid, 5 days or rather 3 days a week, 5 days anyway, it's not happening. You've always been consistent about a rhythm, a diligence, office jana hai. Also about spending time in office, meeting folks, meeting your teams. Now that rhythm I've seen from last, I would say, multiple years. How do you maintain that rhythm? It's not easy. We are talking about decades of this.
So actually, contrary to what you say, I think I find that much easier. I find it hard to not have a process. And when I was in GE, the whole Six Sigma philosophy that have a process and let it run. So for the first 25 years of my life, I would wear the same, short pant and shirt. I mean, the COVID broke that thing. But I said, I'll just wear this dress. Why do I have to change it? So everything for me is a process. So it requires less CPU, less storage. The exe file runs on its own till exception happens. So to me, I think it's the easiest way to do to just, it also talks about the power of compounding, just doing it consistently. So people nowadays talk a lot about consistency, power of compounding. I find it much more easier to have that versus the other. So my question is to the other saying, this is so simple, make a process, just do it. Why do you have to think every day? But looks like I'm the exception and the others are not the exception.
Since you've given a reference architecture of your entire thing, can you also please specify what programming language are you made of?
No, but seriously, I mean, people who know me, I have a very fixed routine of when I'll get up, what I will do, at what point in time, where I will be. So for me, it seems very simple that it's all so well defined. I know it, everyone else knows it, it's easy to engage. Why not have that transparent, open source way of working?
No, that's awesome. RB, you and me always had this chat about, now we see a lot of current analytics AI professionals failing. And many of them are leaders as well. It may not come out in the open, but the fact today is that there is a whole new suite of professionals and leaders in analytics AI who are striving to make a mark. Now, going back, and Jit, you can also chip in, Pankaj, you as well. What used to happen in that era, 20, 25 years back, which made this entire set of analytics very robust, foundationally very strong? And I'm not saying it's not today, but fundamentally cut to a stage today where suddenly things have changed because of OpenAI. So how do you calibrate this current period versus past? And what learnings do you believe for the professionals and leaders you would like to give? And this is purely has to be anecdotals and absolutely from your own experience, please.
So if I go back and see what exactly we did, I think when we started off, I was also repenting why I joined this industry. Honestly, because there was a chief marketing officer in GE who was the sponsor of our team. And Jit knows about him. So he had come down and said, you guys will be replaced. You guys are building models. Tomorrow, there can be a mission which can actually take your fingerprint, pull out the credit bureau, make a decision, underwrite a credit card for you, and issue a credit card in the mission. Based on your transactions, it actually monitors you and sees whether you go delinquent, should we recover from you. All of that can be done by a mission. So none of you will be required. So this is 6 months after I joined GE. So I started feeling that, okay, I've lost my job. Maybe this will go on for the next 2 years. And everything will be automated. So we were building those models and we were spending a lot of time in the office just looking at all the data. We always felt that it is both art and science. And how robust it is something which we are always worried about. So 25, 30 years down the line, we are still doing analytics. None of us got replaced. I think we are doing much more than what we were planning to do in those era. We need more people with these capabilities as we go forward. And today, to a large extent, I feel that it's more of science rather than art. One of the things where we are also working in the office is how do you reimagine some of the processes? So if maybe 30 years back, if I build a model and Jit builds a model, there was a difference in our model and we can argue which one is the best. Today, it has come to that level where follow the process and make sure you build the model. We both build the model, it looks the same. So to a large extent, I think it has come to that place where most of the things which we thought was intelligence has now become artificial, right? So honestly, I think it's maybe good or bad, but you can actually build models much faster than what you built in the past. So you can see the progress, you can see the fastness, but that thing what we did, which was like looking at the data, iterating it, you should actually see what goes in and what comes out, whether it makes sense. All of that is gone.
Jit, your
Yep.
perspective.
No, absolutely. I think Rajendar covered it. I think when we started working on analytics, it was a fairly new field. It was greenfield almost for India because, to be honest, before that, India had market research, to Rajendar's point, but there was not internal transactional data to work on, or credit bureau data and others. So it was very exciting for us when we saw a lot of work from other countries like US and others. You build a marketing model, risk model. I think we would take almost months to build each model at that time, why it was an art. In fact, I remember those days for multi-continuity, again, we would take printouts of the matrices and figure out which are multi-collinear kind of things and then do it. And then obviously technology evolved big time over the last 2 decades because the definition of data changed from, say, structured data to unstructured data. I think the computing power changed, which allowed everything else. So we saw a humongous amount of technology change in the last 2 decades, which created lot more applications. Means it's the same science probably, but you could do it very differently, and today you build those models very easily. But I think the scope of the work has changed. So it's so many applications has just come up. You can't keep it art anymore. So you have to bring that science element into it. Technology is running a lot, but today also, a decision, if it is about making a recommendation to Pankaj which movie to see, I'll use the machine fully. But if it is a business decision which you have to decide how much money to put, I'll still have human work with machine. So still even today, I think there's a humongous amount of combination of human and machine working together. And we should just really like how this space has evolved. I think in a lifetime, I feel very fortunate. I've seen an industry emerge from zero to what it is today. So that's really how it has evolved again.
Awesome. Pankaj, I have a different question for you. This entire aspect of mentoring, you talk to a lot of professionals on a daily basis, and they're looking to get mentored. They want an ally. And specifically in this professional arena where the careers are 30, 35 years and maybe more in the time to come, how do you see this concept of mentorship getting evolved? Do leaders by their own choice need to start mentoring, or does the mentee needs to select the right set of mentor so that his or her career is like in a right way? What exactly you feel in this segment needs to be done, and what is not happening today?
And I think, who's that famous surgeon, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗖𝗟𝗡, and he has this book about coaching. And if you haven't heard about 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗖𝗟𝗡, you should. He's a very top surgeon in New York, and he talks about coaching and mentoring. And he says, while I'm the top surgeon, I still have a coach who watches me operate, and I can still become better. So he has a checklist manifesto. So I think anyone and everyone can benefit from a mentor. Now, finding the right mentor, I think, is an art. Because many a times, some of the mentors will be, sometimes telling you to do what has succeeded for them. I mean, I still remember long ago, I used to work for Dell. And Rajan Anandan was the India head, and someone said, you go and seek mentoring from him. Usually you are sent to some senior people who are succeeded. And Rajan was a hardcore sales guy. He has built businesses. He's the best investor. So when he started talking to me about what his aspiration is, what he's doing, I somehow did not gel with him. And I backed off and I told people, I don't think he's the right mentor for me. Now it was, whatever. So I think you have to figure out who's the right mentor. Not necessarily that someone who has succeeded in their domain is the right mentor for you. Maybe you have a different path. So I think everyone has to figure out what works for them. Many a time we take a mentor who is assigned to us because they have succeeded in something. Maybe that was their journey, their path. Your path might be different. I have never had a single mentor, but I think one can seek mentoring or inputs from a lot of different people. It's almost like saying, you are the owner of your own optimization equation. You can seek any number of variables from wherever, but you need to own it. Many a time we surrender ourselves to a mentor without realizing it, and that's not the right thing to do. So I think how do we have agency and keep refining it is what I would suggest.
Further, if we have to build upon this, today the challenge is the peer pressure. My compensation is lesser than the other. I'm not getting the right support from my boss or my manager or supervisor. A common reference. Now, in a mode, what is happening, and three of you can relate, and even the audience can relate. The tendency for someone as a professional to move jobs is becoming very fast. In the earlier days, and again, by no means I'm doing a comparison, do you think there was something else in our leadership or a professional trait what is not there today? Or if this particular generation has built a different trait which is with the time? Any thoughts around that?
See, I think we were in a scarcity era. So the mental model for scarcity era was what we were taught. The abundance era has very little attention. So people are flipping from everything, not just careers, media, food, whatever. So I think to me, it goes back to that optimization equation. What are you optimizing for? Today, here and now, yourself, or tomorrow and everyone else? So I think we all know, but it's not easy to practice it on a daily basis, that the bigger the optimization equation, meaning I want to optimize my whole team, my whole company, my home country, where I am a party to it, but then I have to collaborate, I have to find a common goal and play a team sport. That's always harder versus saying, can I optimize for myself here and now? So I do think that, sometimes we all get motivated by short-term motives. Companies get motivated by quarterly results. Don't, think about the long run. So I think we all know what it is. How do we develop that inner conviction and some validation for us to continue going forward is the path that everyone has to figure out on their own.
Sure. Jit, you took a approach which many of the analytics AI leaders are still very cagey or tentative about, which is being on your own, starting something of your own. Now, I'm talking specifically about analytics AI. How easy or difficult you see this journey is when an AI professional thinks about being entrepreneur? What specific things he or she needs to consider to get to that level?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's not an easy transition because obviously the positive is that whoever is into analytics, AI, I think it's a profession and expertise which you become better and better. So obviously you know your space. But then you are trying to monetize that space beyond a standard media when you are on your own. So you're trying to almost create an enterprise. And I think the biggest thing in any enterprise is not just about you sitting and doing the work. I think first you have to get work. People need to know you could add value, which is, I think again, these are longer terms for the word sales, marketing. Similarly, you need people to come in and join you in that vision or the charter that you are driving. So all of those requires you to think very end to end. So you are no more an analytics professional, but you are using that analytics to build a business. So I think that has to excite you, and there's a lot of uncertainties on that path. I think, I know in today's world, startups are so common, but on the other hand, I would always suggest, in fact, when I started off, I had read a lot of books from 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗖𝗟𝗑 𝗔𝗩𝗘, who was a Mindtree founder. A lot of them actually discourage you to start. And I would have the same thing. Think through, why do you want to start? Because you could always do the same thing by working, or you could do something different. So there are ways, or there are reasons why you have to be very excited, why you want to be on your own, why you want to build a business. And if you're really motivated, I think it's a fun journey. You will fall down many times, but the fun is getting up and running again. So that's really what it is.
Awesome. Arvi, you were part of a panel where we were talking about this whole new age roles in AI. Now, one of the things which I was looking, which would be discussed, but let me kind of take it out here. Forget about everything what exists in analytics AI today as far as the career opportunities. 2028, 3 years from now, if you have to see top 3 roles in AI emerging in 2028, what those roles would be?
This is, I think people are seeing all of those already. A lot of work is happening mostly in the operating models. So again, we are looking for people who can...
Please pick up a tag. What 1, 2, 3 roles?
So operating model roles, target operating models roles, where people feel that, okay, these are the big ones which can forecast how it looks in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Technological forecasts, AI forecasts, all of those. The other role which I feel can be very big is on the governance side.
Governance.
So that can be very, very big because we are doing a lot of AI, and mostly in the financial services, we just have to be very compliant. So that I feel will be a big one. The other big roles which can come in, and it's already coming in, and I have seen a lot of people here, is the chief AI officer, right? And we have some examples which we are seeing now, but that can be a big one. We will have AI officers not for the business, it would be for each of the functions. Most of the AI will be embedded in the functions, and analytics will be a part of the function rather than a standalone team which is doing analytics for the business. So if this can happen, I think that can be changing a lot of stuff for us.
Awesome. So we've hit a time button, but maybe this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience, they want to ask a question or two, but only one condition, make it fast. The question has to be a question, not a monologue, please. Yes, we've got a hand up. Please stand up and can we have the mic? And you can please specify to whom you would like that person to respond. बेटा थोड़ा जल्दी कर लो, इवेंट खत्म हो जाएगा.
We are seeing around 100 plus years of experience sitting on the stage.
Hey, don't count me. Yeah? These are more seasoned. I still have age on my side.
So from your experiences, what was your biggest success in the analytics industry you have seen in like last 30-35 years, and biggest downfall you have seen being part of this industry? Any of you can answer, or all three of would be great.
Biggest success, what you've noticed in this industry, and the biggest downfall? Generically. Biggest success you have seen in this industry as a generic?
See,
or
one
biggest-
thing which I've seen is the industry has not fallen yet. I think for the last 30 years, because we all started off saying that maybe it will die in the next 5 years. Maybe we'll be irrelevant in the industry over a period of time. That is not happening. I think industry is absorbing a lot of people with greater skills. It is transforming a lot of stuff. You're seeing the success. And to a large extent, that is
So
very
for the
good.
ones who in the audience have kids, can we say that their options, if they need to be in AI, they are future-proof and recession-proof? Are
As
we
long
going
as
to
they
bet your career on this?
I can bet my career because I started with that.
Okay, it's getting recorded as well.
I'll just add to it. I'd say just make sure that whatever you're building on AI is getting implemented and there is adoption. I fear the worry of there are a lot of pilots and that we keep on building, but implementation or users are not in mind. It becomes a very complex thing. So as a practitioner, you have to make sure AI is adopted. Then I think there's no end to this space.
Pankaj, one thing I can add from what Shivani said. What is one thing which is not going right in analytics or AI today? If you have to just point out, please.
So I was a lateral entrant who was parachuted into this industry compared to many of my compatriots. So the way I have been describing my view on this was a first slide when I was in Dell in my first job, which used to say, quoted to Michael Dell, who was the founder. I don't think he said it, but he might have said it as well. In those days, big data was the current AI. So it used to say, no one is interested in big data. Everyone is interested in big results, Michael Dell. So I would focus people on that finally, कोई सा भी model हो, result पहले बता दो.
Nice. Out there, please.
This is Dhanrajani here. Just have one simple question. We have been talking about technology evolution from last 2 to 3 decades in India. I think we are seeing a lot of GCC being set up here and then a lot of services being delivered out of India. But really India has not done any technology innovation in India. We have done servicing for multiple countries and etc. Take up COBOL, Fortran, C, C++, VB, .NET, Microsoft, everything is being developed out of. Even the cloud revolution is not started in India. We've been adopting the services model, but that is changing in the AI evolution. That's one part. Are we investing enough, especially the big entrepreneurs are investing in terms of building our own SLMs, LLMs, bringing the right regulations and regulators body so that we can conquer the world in the AI evolution, which we missed in the technology revolution in the last 3 decades. Thank you.
Okay.
So my quick answer, I think we are at a stage of infancy. I think we should be very happy of the progress we have made over the last 25 years or so, because we did not have a past before that. Well, think about the IT industry or whatever means technology that we build up. It's really the 25 years that we have seen the world. Compared to other countries who probably are more evolved, where probably you'll compare it to US, for example, it's been doing those things more than 50 years or so. But I think the stage where we are right now is actually the most apt space to bring in innovation, because we now know it's the depth of talent which is in India, and it's also the huge part of world's AI is happening out of India. So this is a great opportunity, and I see the flourishing entrepreneurship again in many form. Again, we have to be careful. We are not just replicating things, because I'm not excited about building another LLM model. Because it's there's a lot of options there. I'm more excited about applications, for example. So I think we have to think about which are the new areas to focus on, but that I see India's future is promising in terms of new products emerging which are relevant for India and for the globe. Not many countries are ready to serve the globe sitting out of their own country, but India is ready in that front.
Just to add, a lot of GCCs are looking at actually creating their innovation centers in India, right? The cost of doing innovation in India is much cheaper, and the risk of not doing it in India is much higher. So to a large extent, the expectation from the parent organization through the GCCs is much, much higher. So you will see a lot of things coming in. You have a lot of ideas which are going into the business, which to a large extent having an impact. I think that is more focused on as of now, but not maybe something on the technology side which we invent and maybe market it outside. So that's the GCC angle which I can.
Pankaj, your thoughts?
So both my daughters have studied economics, and some of you may have studied it, but I have learned a new model through the economics textbook from there, and it's called the PESTEL framework. So if you haven't heard it, this is the model now I use to describe or understand anything. PESTEL stands for 6 variables: politics, economics, social, technological, environmental, and legal. I think we are a combination of all of these 6. Many a time we look at one variable and start to predict why this is happening, that is not happening. It's a very complex equation. I think this framework allows you to first understand why things are happening the way they are. Once we understand, then we can start making prediction and changing things. So I think many a times we are just taking a very simplistic view that this happened because of that. That's not how it is. I think we have to spend far more time understanding, even in your own company or in your own country, why the things they are, and then we start making changes.
Fascinating. I think one of the things which you realize what comes out usually when Shivani rightly said, yes, the years of experience do make a difference when it's aggregated. And if that set of years of experience is into analytics AI, by no means is a huge accomplishment. The fact today, we keep on saying today, if this industry of analytics AI has to come together, the fraternity needs to talk to each other and acknowledge the good work, what is being done. And here we have 3 gentlemen. I keep on saying, mincing no words, I think needs a standing ovation. Thank you so much for your time. Can we have a huge round of applause for each one of them, please?